Hey everybody, welcome to what I cannot believe is our year-ending podcast for Hey Sis. So this will be the last of the year, but the first of the year, and it is amazing. It has been a journey. And so as always, we want to remind everybody that the things we're going to be talking about today are going to be our own thoughts, and they have absolutely nothing to do with the thoughts and the beliefs of AOC. This is what we think, so we want to put that disclaimer out there. But we also want you all to know that this is a safe place for open conversation. And what we're going to be doing now is just kind of like a year in review, just like everything that we've talked about, because throughout this past year, we have talked about everything from Black women and our mental health and our physical health, as well as our sexual health. We have talked about Black women in relationships. Like, I don't think there's very much that we haven't touched. So today we're just gonna kind of give a little woo-saw moment and reflect over the last year and just how it's affected all of us. And many of us have been here since day one. So we're just gonna talk about that. And so I just wanna start with you, Kelly, our fearless leader. Since this first started last year and everything that we've talked about, what effect has this Hey Sis, and I'm gonna call it a movement, had on your life?
Ooh, I did not see this coming. You and I had a conversation just over dinner, talking about what this could be. Tonya and I had a conversation talking about what this could be. My team and I had a conversation talking about what this could be. And I don't think when we started, we thought maybe we might do, one or two of these conversations, and maybe it would fizzle out, but it didn't. It has, that very first conversation was very engaging. The 1 hour went by so quickly. We thought, oh, no. And then the next one came along. So it's just been absolutely amazing. And then to have women send text messages or send us an inbox and say, I want to be involved in the conversation. I want to come and sit in the room while you're having a conversation. And the very first time we did it, we thought we were only going to have like 6 people. And we had a house full of people.
Gosh, yes.
And it turned, it just turned into a party. So it's been refreshing and rewarding, and you realize the things that are missing in our sister circles. And this is one of those things, being able to have candid conversations in spaces where you feel safe and protected and loved, and it's going to go out into the world, but those conversations that happen off screen, they're going to stay right off screen and right amongst us.
Yeah, we definitely have built a sisterhood, and it's just impacted me just to be able to connect with so many people that I've, known in a sense or seen in passing, but not been able to really build that sisterhood with. This has definitely been the platform for that, where it's like, okay, I've seen you, but now I really see you.
Right.
And it makes such a difference. So Tonya, I'm gonna jump on over to you.
Okay.
With you being a part of this from, the ground floor and having those same brainstorming sessions with Kelly like I did, and which was crazy because we had separate conversations talking about the same thing. And it's like, okay, well, we just need to do it. So from your vision, from those very first conversations to now, it being a year later, what impact has it had on you from what you thought it was going to be to where we are today?
So I think the first thing is, to know Kelly is to know she's always thinking about others, right? She's always thinking about, how do I create this space for others? And I think when, she and I had the conversation, it was at a time that I feel like women really needed to create this safe space. And so, of course, it just made sense. Like, let's do it, right? I think watching this, and even today, having it all come together each month, being a part with my team of what is the brand, the look, the feel, like what do we want to get across, But the thing about today, in the, the 12 months or how, I don't know how many months, 6 months, I don't know how many months, it has caused me to look at myself and make sure that I am showing up in the way that I need to show up, right? And that I'm comfortable with having those conversations about mental health, about sexual health, about all the things that I knew, especially younger Tonya, wish there was a place to get that information. And so I'm looking forward to the kind of the continuation of it. But I think if there was that one thing, I've had to question myself. Am I showing up in the way that I need to show up in my own circle?
Yeah.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah. And it's funny when you
Yep.
say that in the conversations and how so many things that we talked about were extremely taboo in our community. And we were bold enough, and we've used that word a lot today,
Yeah.
bold enough to just say, we're just going to have the daggone conversations. And in one of our last podcasts that we had at Carpenter's Cafe, and we talked about Sis, what's in your toolkit, and we were talking about the sexual health, my mother was in the audience that day. And I had never, I don't believe, even said the word sex in front of my mother before. And I'm 53 years old. And so she wanted to come and be a part of it. And afterwards, I was kind of even shy to look at her. And she was like, no, I had a couple of clutch my pearl moments, but this was good. And I'm glad that you eventually learned about this stuff, because I guess at 53, she still wasn't sure what I knew. And it was like, so even my mom, I'm 53, my mom is 75, 76. And it was still an uncomfortable moment for her, but she realized it's about daggone time somebody start talking about this, and that's what we've done. And so, Dr. LaKedra, you were there that very first day, so same question to you. What has this full circle moment been?
First of all, I just want to publicly thank Kelly, because like Tonya said, making a space for all of us, because I have seen in the past where women can be very intimidated by other women stepping on their stage. And Kelly is like, it's enough room for all of us, everybody. And you don't have to lower who you are and lower your tone, because I am kind of loud, but I'm also an introvert because I'm also very shy. And she helped bring that out and was like, just be you. Yes, you are the first lady, but be you. And it's okay because it's safe here. And even though it's a lot that is shown on, Facebook when we air and all this stuff, and we love all our Facebook family. Thank you so very much. But there are things that we do have amongst our sisterhood that stays very private and special and never hear it again. And it has brought to me like, you know what, I don't care if she is, the next woman president. I know Kelly. I know her. I know this person.
Yes.
And she's a real sister. And she brought other sisters into the circle who are now my sisters as well. So that's what it makes me.
It has been awesome. So like we said, a lot of us have been here since day one. Tracy, you have been here since day one. So I want to switch the question up just a little bit. And so throughout all of the topics, all of the conversations we've had, what would you say was one of your most memorable moments throughout this past year, or a takeaway or something that was just powerful for you that we have discussed throughout this year of Hey Sis?
I would probably say sexual health. I thought that was a very good conversation. I thought the transparency, the openness, and everyone's different. All of us are different, but collectively we were comfortable enough to have the conversation. And I want to shout out for Kelly too, because Kelly collects people. And she collects people, and they're all different. Everybody's just, who they are, but everybody's a happy person. So she, shares joy, and joy returns. And I just, I think that is, and have watched this grow, and the colors of us, and the differences between us, and the individuality of us. And that has been, very moving, very warm. I'm super proud of you because this is everything. I think that would be it. But the sexual health was probably the best conversation. I learned things I did not know, and believe me, I've had sex. So.
And we all did. I think we all learned something. Yes, there has been a lot of education. So, Dr. Amber, what about you? What have been some of your most memorable moments or powerful moments throughout the last year of Hey Sis?
I think it was the podcast, Hey Sis, Do You Feel Protected? And I don't remember exactly what we were responding to, but we started having this discussion about the power of storytelling, and particularly when it has to do with intergenerational passing down of stories. I think we were talking about things that we had in terms of protections as a community when we were segregated, and how some of those things changed with integration and us moving, and how it can be easy to forget the ways that we used to protect each other. And often, once we've moved out of those spaces or as time has gone on, we haven't necessarily shared the impact and the history of that with our children. And so we were talking about the importance of having those intergenerational conversations and storytelling. But that resonated with me, one, because that's what we do here among the Hey Sis, right? It's very intergenerational, it's interdisciplinary. Someone else said it, everybody gets to come and be themselves. So to just be there in that moment, have us embodying that very thing, and what that means, the importance of that in terms of a sisterhood where everybody has a space, no matter how old, how young, no matter what it is that you do in the world. Everybody has a space and everybody is safe. And we created that protection in that moment. I think for me, that was just my favorite.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites too, and a perfect segue to the next topic. Because as we have had these conversations and grown these sisterhoods, we've still been out here living our lives, right? Facing daily challenges. And I kind of want us to have a vulnerable moment, and I'll start with it, and just kind of share some challenges we might be facing right now that we can use our support from our sisters. And so for me, for those of you who don't know, I just released my third book, which is Dispelling the Myth of the Angry Black Woman. It is a book that I have been working on for 2 years. The book was done probably a year before I released it, and mainly because I was afraid to be bold. I'm a businesswoman. I do business all over the city with all different types of organizations, and I really was concerned, what is this going to look like for me? Am I going to be too militant? Are people now not going to want to do business with me because the very myth that I'm dispelling, are they going to look at me as the angry black woman? And so that's what I'm struggling with right now, because I have had some of those challenges. I have had people who do business with me now look at me differently because I wrote that book. And so I'm needing my sisters to lean on now, because I have decided and named myself, I'm going to be the voice for black women. And if that makes me have to lose some contracts, have to lose some business relationships, then those aren't contracts and relationships that necessarily were for me anyway. But as I navigate that, and of course in this political climate, I had a federal contract that I lost that had nothing to do with my book. It had everything to do with just the color of my skin. So right now, I'm needing my sisters to help me navigate through that and, help keep me uplifted, because there are days when I'm like, why'd I release that daggone book? But I know I needed to do it. And so that's something that I'm needing support with. And, I'm going to be reaching out to y'all, because I'm going to have those days. And so if any of the rest of us are, having some of those times, this is a good place. Like, how can we help you and take this past just our podcast, but to help support one another with real life things?
Okay, I'm going to jump in. So I would say, first of all, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it over, a drink. Let's talk about it over a cigar. Tonya and I talk about a lot of stuff over a walk, but let's talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, then we don't know that you're hurting.
Right.
And then we don't know how to help. So we have to be able to talk about it. But then secondly, don't second guess yourself. Because you wrote a book, the book needed to be written, The words needed to be said. You wrote it, you said it, it's out there.
Right.
So it goes back to also what Tonya said about being bold. You know, and sometimes being bold is also being afraid. But there's power in that boldness. And we have, everybody up here has found ourselves in some places thinking, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why? But it needed to happen. It needed to happen. And sometimes when things need to happen, you know, we carry we are the receivers of the repercussions that come with it, but it benefits somebody else down the line. So don't beat yourself up behind it. Just invite me over for a cigar.
Girl, you know, anytime. Anybody else want to chime in or have anything else to share that they're dealing with?
I would say you're gonna join our walk.
Okay.
We're gonna go for a walk.
I would love that. I need that.
Only because I've been there, right? Part of the reason why I say what I say these days about the importance of being bold and Black and a leader is because I've been there where I have been painted as an angry Black woman, mainly because I decided that I was going to speak up. I was going to say the things that no one else was going to say in the room. I felt like I had done all the right things, right? I'd gone to TCU, I've worked for such and such and such and such, Mark married well, like it was all the things. Y'all, if you catch that, you catch that, right? So I had done all the right things. I had one moment where I sat in a room with white men, and I didn't nod and I didn't agree. And in that became, she is difficult to work with, she's an angry Black woman, and all the other things. The upsetting part about it is that people who look like me begin to repeat it. What we gotta stop doing is repeating that story and questioning it. So, and I'm not perfect at it, but I will catch myself when someone says something about someone. Oh, Kelly, da-da-da-da-da, right? And sometimes I just kind of laugh it off. But now I am forcing myself to question, why do you feel that way? Because that's not the experience that I get, right? And so we have to do more of that because I know personally what it's like to be taken down because you won't assimilate to people who don't agree with you or look like you. So I think the thing for me is if there was anything, and I always like to have moments of vulnerability because I don't want anyone to ever think that I am perfect and I don't have issues. And so I think the thing that I suffer from now more than ever before is feeling like I'm not good enough. As much as I've been able to do many, many things. I've ran the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, turned that organization from $800,000 in debt to $25 million in the bank. Where's the camera? Your girl did the damn thing, right? And but even in that, I just took on another role that has stretched me. And I find myself constantly doubting my ability, mainly because of the trauma that I experienced when I went into that room and they tore me down, and I'm still trying to build myself up. And so if there's anything that I need, I think it's to just to be reassured that I'm good enough. Because even today, with all the things that I have done, I am constantly questioning myself if I'm good enough for that next level that God has put me in.
Yes. First, let me say yes. If I had heard that story, my first thought would have been, oh, they said some shit and Tonya just didn't say anything. I never would have thought that you were the difficult one to work with or anything like that. So I really hope that moves past for you, because you are Tonya Veasey, and that's, that's held with high esteem, and you have done great work. And I don't think that nationally anyone would say the same thing in the rooms that you've been in that loved you. So I really hope that works out. I hope that works better for you, honest to God, because that's crazy. What? Tonya Veasey's not enough? I can't even believe you said that. What? Okay. And I want to say what we struggle with. What we struggle with. I struggle with the Black woman's back. The number of times that I say on a daily basis, okay, that's it. I'm going to shut this down. This is work. And trying to elect Black women when Black women don't want to elect Black women is very hard. And having this conversation over and over and over again, and it still doesn't produce anything. And you just think, okay, well, I'm going to hang on to it. And, you got to file another report. And then you got, somebody, and God bless Kelly. Because Kelly keep coming back going, so we're going to use the PAC, and we're going to do blah, 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 and we're going to do, and I'm thinking, dang it, another report. Okay, here we go. Let's use it. So, but that's a struggle for me. It really is on a daily basis. It's no joke. I think about it and I go, girl, just let that go. They don't want to do it. It's okay. It served its purpose. And so, and then we have this question today, and then somebody goes, well, so if we want to do blah, 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 is a PAC available? Well, it does exist, yes. But the work is serious, and it's, labor intensive. So, yeah. Okay.
And just a little of, I guess, like, my journey this year was different, because I was like, okay, God took me on this personal journey. I'm not Catholic, but I said, I love what the Catholics do during Lent, and how they just, really get serious and focused on, their beliefs. I love their discipline and things like that. So I started this journey on the 40 days of Lent Me That Blessing. And it was going to be my personal journey, but my social media manager was like, no, I think you need to go and do this live. And I was like, girl, now I don't want to be doing this live and talk to people live. I don't do this. And so I had already challenged myself to start waking up at 5 o'clock and starting my day more intently with just being with God. Because I am that person, I used to just get up, wash my face, brush my teeth. Good morning, God, love you, how you doing? Go on to work, do my little devotional in the meantime, in time. And God was like, girl, who you fooling? You're not really spending no quality time with me. So I was like, I'm gonna challenge myself to do this. So I have been doing it since Lent started, and I'm doing my personal time, and then I go on live, and I have these things, and I'm just telling people just, to keep the faith, trust God and do this, and because it was a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I'm like, I'm believing God is going to turn things around, and I'm still believing it. But in the midst of it all, my grandmother passes away on Monday. And I'm like, really, God? I'm the oldest grandchild. That's my best friend. I was just with her Saturday. She was not sick. She was talking noise like she do. And that night, your grandmother's not breathing. Ooh, how do you get on live and continue to say, I still trust God? So I need my sisters to help me, because I trust him, but it hurt. And I need my sisters to keep me lifting when I'm just feeling like, ooh, this is a little too heavy for me, because I don't understand it. I don't understand she's here, fine, not in the hospital, no health problems, and now she's gone. So it's like, that is a journey, while I'm still trying to go on my own spiritual journey and continue to grow closer to him. And to be honest, it has been hard to pray. I have been praying, but it has been hard, because I'm more like, God, I need you just to give me strength. It's been my prayer. So that's what I need my sisters during this time.
Dr. Amber? Yeah, I was going to say, we do have you. We are keeping you lifted in prayer.
Thank you.
Sending you so much love. And I feel like I hear pieces of probably what's happening for me and some of what everybody said. And I've been trying to think about how to make it one coherent thought. And I think probably the biggest need for me is to be bold in this time. Like, I do think we are at a critical moment in history. People are always talking about, or like we have these conversations, oh, I'm not my ancestors, or I would have done this if I was there. And we're in a moment of, okay, well, you're here, so what are you gonna do? And sometimes that's been difficult to sit with, right, or to answer. I also feel like I kind of have played by all the rules. I did the things with the school and a degree. I was a church kid. I tried to behave and carry myself in a certain type of way. And to kind of get here where things are collapsing, it seems like everything that I was told I would have if I did all the things, we done threw all of it out. The whole rules changed. And for a time, I was resentful about that. I was wavering in my faith because of that, even for some of the sacrifices and the things that I went through just getting through the PhD journey alone and how tough that was. But as I have been trying to reconcile those things and figure out what there is to do, or how I move past that and what I can do in this moment, I've been shifted into some uncomfortable spaces. I think even the first time I was on the podcast, I shared with some of y'all about how uncomfortable public speaking is for me. And I've done so much public speaking since then, but I feel like there's a purpose in that, because to be an Africana studies counselor and a mental health counselor and an individual invested in seeing Black people thrive and be well through what we're going through, how could I be silent?
Yes.
And even though I'm working through it, right, there are times where I am full of fear. I think somebody said that, like, there's still the push to get past the fear, get past the overthinking, but I really try to sit with this mantra, Nganuwa ki bili ma'a, though I'm full of fear, I go anyway. And so if it's anything I could use from my sisters, it's just that push to continue being bold and doing what it is that I was put here to do and offer in this moment.
We got you too. And that's what I love about this group. Like, it's no question. It's just like, yeah, we got you. And it is a safe place. And we've touched on this a little bit through a couple of our answers. And I just want to ask the question. We know the political climate that we're in now. And I truly believe that, you know, us as a people are going to be very much so affected. We are going back decades and decades. It's like, you know, like you said, people who said if I was there, I would have. Well, we're here now. But I definitely believe, just like with everything else that happens, it's going to impact Black women more than anyone.
Oh, yes.
And so, have any of you already had any effects of this political climate that have affected your daily life already? And if you have, what is it, and how have you been navigating that?
You talked about them government contracts. I'm a government contractor. And you can tell the difference in, like, the amount of work that's coming through. You know, so it has greatly impacted, because I work a lot with individuals with disabilities who are trying to get their, you know, social security. And as a vocational expert, you know, I'm in the court as I'm impartial. So if they remove us, then it's like, okay, who do these people really have to, even though we're not an advocate for them, but if you remove the impartial witness, they really have no voice. Because you have judges that's sitting there that's like, well, I feel like you could still go do this. Yeah, you only have a third grade education, and you're 63, but you could still do this. And making up jobs that do not exist, making up jobs that they're never going to be able to get. But because of how things are going, I can see the amount of work that is not coming anymore. And I know that that's what it's from.
So how are you navigating that? Like, do you have a plan? What do you see? Like,
you know what? Dr. Charlotte, I was listening to her, baby, I got to do something. I got to do something because I was like, ooh, I've been sitting on a whole lot of stuff. I got to figure something out because those contracts was major. I mean, big money. And now it ain't the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not ready to change my lifestyle yet. So I need to, I need some more money. So it's like, I'm working on a plan. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Dr.
that's
Charlotte.
how, you
Appreciate
know what, is negative and as scary as it can be, it's also one of those things where it's like, evidently this isn't where I was supposed to be. And so it kind of forces you into your next. It kind of forces you into that thing that you have been avoiding that you know you're supposed to do. Did you have something to add to that, Tonya?
Just before I say, I hate that it had to force me. I hate that I got to that point, and it's my fault.
Because we get comfortable, right? We do. We get comfortable. We're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that next year. Yeah, I get it. Tonya.
So I live this. I feel like I've been living this for the last, is it just 60 days, 90 days? I feel like
We're 2 months in on a 48-month sentence.
we are 2 months in. I have the amazing privilege in the position that I'm in now to work with organizations. A lot of these organizations are national civil rights organizations, NAACP, Urban League, and we just created what we're calling a rapid readiness practice, where we are helping organizations, because every one of our organizations, if you believe in equity, inclusion, or diversity, you are under attack. And so we've created this practice. I won't go into that, but what I do want to talk about as an individual person, especially as Black women, who are the most endangered species here, what is currently happening is to dismantle just the civil rights that we currently have. Like, be very clear, the diversity and equity and inclusion attack is about attacking, and I'm gonna be very specific because I don't know how to talk in any other way other than to talk about Black people. I wake up every morning and all I think about is being Black. I'm unapologetic about it. I don't think about nobody else. I just think about being Black. Understand what is happening. It is not about them, it is about us. It is about, we have started to thrive in a society that was not built for us to thrive in. So a couple of things that I would say that we all need to do, and I'm working on doing this as well, is to create an economy that is supported by us. So the Target, all the things that we're saying that we're not going back there and we're not buying, that's great. But we really need to be so much more intentional in creating our own economy. Because that economy that we had is not going to be there much longer. So what are we doing, right? Making sure that we are educated around our financial stability and how we get there, making sure that we are creating economies among our community. I would say something there, I'm gonna say it anyway, because that's just who I am. I believe that segregation is not a bad thing. You listen, if we could segregate and create power among ourselves, that's what we should be thriving for. I am not interested, and it took me a long time to get here, in trying to figure out how I'm going to assimilate to something that no one wants me to be a part of to begin with. So when we talk about what are we going to do in these moments, we are going to need to create a community that supports and looks like us, and that we support and look like, and we support them. No other formula is going to work.
Please. So I want to add on to what you're saying because I want us to take a look at what that looks like. So the nail shop, we fund their life. Mm-hmm. The hair place, we fund their life. They live, their kids go to school, they eat off of the money we go consistently to get our nails done, buying hair, changing up our hair, all of that. Calculate how much money you're spending on that, where you're spending it. And if it was black, what would that look like for us?
Yeah.
And that's creating an economy that because our dollar does not stay in our community. Jewish people, Arabs, the Asian, whatever that happens, our dollar's in our community for 3 minutes or something like that?
Yep.
And they have 6 days, 2 weeks, a whole month. And our dollar is spent just flash right out because we got to have. To impress who and for what is what I ask you.
I agree. But I also want to say, too, first of all, Tonya, if you think back, segregation was never intended for us to assimilate. It was about equity. And then, when you open a door and one person moves and then, so where we were became, not good enough. Kind of that ice, our ice is not cold enough and it's not good enough. I think I love the idea of being able to shop in our communities, do things in our communities, but we also have to be able to see value in our communities. And we don't always see value in our community. We will say, oh, that costs too much. Or, but you'll go buy the same thing more expensive somewhere else. I don't want to eat at that restaurant, but I'll go, and so I'll get on Facebook and I'll complain and I'll say all of these things. I'll never say anything to the manager at this place, but I'll accept that over here. Or in our space, we provide the worst customer service.
Yes.
And you're supposed to be good with me providing that customer service. So I think that goes both ways of, when you say, let's make this investment back into our communities, we also have to be thoughtful about us serving each other in our communities. We don't always have to have a hookup.
Yeah. Right.
My price is my price.
Yes. Right.
Because when you go someplace else, it is non-negotiable.
Yeah. Correct.
You don't even negotiate when you go buy a car. You can negotiate the price, you can negotiate the interest rate, but you don't. But you come over here and it becomes a whole, back and forth. And so I think we have to get back to that space of what's in our community and valuing it. And then also investing back in our communities. We are notorious for moving out of our communities and then riding back through and saying, Grandmama used to live there. Well, Grandmama doesn't have to used to have lived there because Grandmama passed on. Uncle Bobo could have moved in. I could have moved in. And then when other groups of people move into our communities and our communities look totally different, then we shake our head, and do that thing. So we have to be methodical about it, and we have to be, back to that word, strategic.
Yeah.
There's not anybody, here that can't afford to live wherever it is that they want to live. But where we choose to live is not always where we are welcomed. And then we, stand up when, there's an issue.
Yeah.
And it dilutes our voting block, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
I'm in agreement. And I'm also thinking about what it looks like to invest in ways outside of just the economy. I do think there are some values and some mindsets we traded in or we gave up when integration occurred as well. Like if we had a way of seeing each other like with our hearts in a way that people used to, seeing the value in people, not just looking for the negative, that might impact like the customer service, right? There were some things I think we traded in terms of character that we used to have as a community, how we used to want to protect each other, how if we saw somebody, if I walked into such and such restaurant and somebody's talking to me crazy, I could call them out on that and like, hey, like this is not you, like what's going on with you? And it's not beef, right? But now we get offended by those things. We might see our neighbors, something's happening or something's going on with them and their kids. And instead of intervening or helping out, oh, that's not my business, so I'm gonna mind my business. And I think that return only works if we do the economic investment, but we also have to do the investment in the character and in the values.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so funny, we talked about, a lot about how things are and things that we've lost. And I think that what we've lost the most, like you said, Kelly, is valuing certain things and certain things that we had in our community when it even came to raising children. And we didn't realize that the things that were instilled in us were great things. And for some reason, and I believe we talked about this in another podcast, we had our kids and decided, no, we want them to be free spirits and we don't want them to have to do this. And so now here we are in this time. And I'm like, have we prepared our children for this? Because, the gentle parenting and, they don't have to say yes, sir, and no, sir. And I want them to be who they are, not preparing them for the fact that, I guess we didn't think this was going to come around. But what I do know for sure is history constantly repeats itself. So how did we not know that we were going to be here again? But I think what we have to do is, first of all, hold ourselves accountable, which we're doing now, and then change certain mindsets that we have to be able to move forward, make a difference, and build that community again, because we're going to need it. Like, we need it now. It's happening now. And so as we build our community and our sisterhood and what we have, this has been awesome. We've had a year. We have fellowshiped together. We have cried together. We have shared things. But there are other women out there who don't have what we have. And so especially in a time like now where people are going to start feeling isolated, they're going to start feeling lonely, what would you all say to women who are in that position where they don't have this kind of sisterhood? How do you find that, and how do you make those connections? Like, we had Kelly to bring us together. We had Kelly to bring us together. But what would you say? What would be your advice to a woman who does find herself isolated and is looking for a sisterhood? How do you start that? How do you get that camaraderie?
I would say, and y'all don't act like this cliche, because it ain't. But I would definitely say, first of all, pray and say, God, tell God what you need. Tell God, I need a sister. I need someone that is going to be in my life, that is going to hold me up when I am falling. I need somebody that's going to hold me accountable when I'm out there doing the fool. I need somebody that's going to have my back and be like, we rolling? Because, I mean, which one you want me to be today? You know what I'm saying? Well, I need that sister. That way, you're just not opening yourself to anybody.
Right.
Because sometimes when you're lonely and you're desperate and you're just like seeking friendship, you will open yourself up to anybody. And it can be very dangerous. And our sisterhood is not dangerous, because even though me and Tonya flip tables, we got some sisters up here that's gonna be like, now y'all know good and dang gonna wear y'all in there and gonna hold us, yes. Like, we're not gonna do that. They're gonna come pick them tables up and say, excuse them, and it's gonna take us up out the room for a minute. So we need to be praying and saying, God, everybody I don't want anybody in my space that you have not put there. That you have not put there. That's what I would say.
I think for me, so a couple of things. My very best friend since fifth grade, Joya, y'all heard me talk about Joya, called me today on my way here. And she's like, girl, I have not laid eyes on you in 3 months. Send me dates that we can go and have a glass of wine. And it actually kind of brought, a couple of tears, because I sometimes, I don't know if I'm a good friend.
You are, Tonya.
No. But let me,
Because
no,
you do that to me.
yeah,
Send me
but-
dates.
Yes. But so here's the thing, because this is a vulnerable moment. I'm a friend in the sense of if you call me and say, hey, I need you, I am there.
Yeah.
I'm not a thoughtful friend in the sense of, oh, it's your birthday, let me go send you a card, let me da-da-da-da, right? That's just not who I am. So I mentioned that to say that we all play some type of role. Like, don't feel like you have to show up in a certain way as a friend, right? Now my friends know you are never going to get a birthday card from me. But what you will get is a call if I can remember it's your birthday. A lot of times but you know that I'm going to be there. I'm absolutely going to be there for you. To answer your question in regard to how to create the circle, I would say that most of us have people in our lives that could be your circle. We are too afraid or just too busy to be intentional about creating the circle. And we need to understand that everyone in our circle is not going to feed us the same way. So how I show up for my best friend is not the same way how she shows up for me. And so we need to really pray about it, because I will tell you that a lot of people want to be your friend and their intentions are really not where they need to be. And then when you meet someone, the Spirit will lead you. I will say this, Dr. Charla.
What? Rocked it.
Listen, we are friends now, but we established that a few months ago. Like, we ran into and we were like literally, I was like, you're gonna be my friend. And I probably she was like, man, why does Tonya Veasey want to be my friend? But the Spirit led me to her. And I was like, I just want to be, how we define friends is different, right? But I need her in my circle. And so we have to not think about friends as you're going to be my best friend, we're going to talk all the time, but who do I need in my circle? Yes. And that's it may not be the person that you're going to tell all your business to. My girlfriend Joya knows more about me than my husband does, because he ain't going to be able to handle some of the stuff that Joya knows. And so we really do need to kind of think about our circle a little bit different. So, sorry, I went on for too long.
Yes, that was it.
I was just thinking to LaKedra's point, because you do have to have discernment, and I think a balance too of you got to actually be open and put yourself out there, right? Yeah. Because I'm the type of person who I isolate, so I'll pray, God, send me the friends and stay in the house. I'm gonna meet them, right? On the door. Maybe they're gonna be the DoorDash person. If not, I'm gonna get the friends. So for me, that's a lesson in vulnerability, being willing to put myself out there and also go, right? And having faith that the things that I ask for will come. And then I think the other lesson I've learned around it too is to start by the things that I want in a sister, be the sister I want to see, essentially. Yes. So start with myself, the places where I can meet my own needs and do those things, do it. Because it helps me to be clear on how I expect to be treated. And so then when I see people who can't do that, I'm clear that them are not the people for me. But also, that builds a community as I start being the sister that I want to see to other people, the people who reciprocate it, that lets me know those are people who should be in my sisterhood.
Yeah. I think a big thing, for me was, and I know it's to have a friend, you have to present yourself as friendly. Yeah. And I didn't always do that because I had such a wall up, especially when I first moved to Texas. I was brand new here. I didn't know anyone here. And there are geographical differences in just your mindset and how you think. I'm from the East Coast. It's not the most friendly, hey, y'all, so when people were friendly to me, I was immediately what's wrong with them? What do they want? Whatever. And so I lived here for several years. I don't have any friends. So every time I turned around, I was on the first thing smoking back to the East Coast because that's where my circle was. And somebody actually said to me, you keep saying you don't have any friends in Texas. Are you being friendly? And I'm like, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Because I would always say, don't nobody like me. How you know people don't like me? Nobody ever talks to me. Do you talk to anybody? Well, no.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that. And that's a conversation I had with Kelly that same day when we were talking about this. I mean, and I've been here now almost 20 years. And I've just started, and this is a very vulnerable moment for me because it's almost embarrassing. But after 20 years, I'm just now starting to get roots here. I'm just now starting to realize I have people here because I spent 20 years guarded and thinking nobody liked me, but really I wasn't presenting myself as friendly. And it wasn't because I'm not. I'm friendly. I am outgoing. I love people, but I was nervous. And so I just was very guarded, which made me appear to be standoffish, which is something else that I think a lot of Black women do. Because of the rejection that we've had, because of, some of the hurts that we've had in friendships, you do kind of put up that guard, but I don't know how many of us keep it up for 20 years, but that's what happened. That was my story. That's
It's a long time, friend.
a long time. But I was able to have that open and candid, vulnerable conversation with Kelly. I'm like, because Kelly was one of my first friends here. And I'm like, girl, don't nobody talk to me but you.
What a great friend.
So anyway, what I want to talk about as well as we go and have started this next year, this second year of Hey Sis, what are some topics that we haven't covered over this past year that you ladies would like to see? Now, I have a suggestion. Is she even in here? Okay, so my sister Phyllis, your sister Phyllis, has given me a suggestion that I want to share. Phyllis said, I love Hey Sis and all the conversations that y'all have. She said, but I would like to see y'all get a panel with some older women to talk about the things that we go through as older women and that transition in a different phase in life. And, those older women who are even single and dating, because even though we talked about it, that looks different in different phases. We're not dating the same at 30 as we were at 16 and 40 as we would be if we happen to be single at 60. And so I promised Phyllis that we were going to talk about that this year.
I like that.
I like that.
I
So we're going to get some
that.
older women and just talk about, because, they're sisters too. So we need to make sure that we include them. So anybody else have any thoughts or anybody put anything in their suggestion box?
Oh, no.
What you have? What you have?
Yeah, she said, ooh.
I was thinking, what does this soft girl era mean?
Oh,
What does that mean? Do you not act like a boss, or do you still be a boss, but still be like, oh, I need you? I mean, to make them feel.
That's a good
I think to talk
conversation.
about that, because people are like, oh, I'm in my soft girl era, so. Why were you not in it just because you're a boss? Why it has to be
why can't both things be true?
Yeah, why you can't
Or
be.
even what is it?
Yeah, what exactly does that
What
mean?
is it?
Let's
How
talk about that.
do I make the transition? Is it like code switching?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious.
Right.
I mean, really, seriously, is it like code switching? Do I, am I soft? Am I vulnerable with my man? But I'm still,
Oh.
And prioritizing yourself. Communicate differently.
So it's like self-care then.
So we can't flip the tables over if we in our soft girl era?
Maybe it's on a daily basis.
Oh.
Okay, well, we're going to put a question mark by that one. Let's put a
It's
question mark.
funny, but it already sparked
Let's go
conversation.
day by day.
Let's do that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we move away from that, I'm going to say it's letting that hard exterior that we always have, because we have to be strong, or said that we have to be strong, it's letting that down just a little bit. So that we, so we're not so, what they always see, when they see us,
Wound up.
angry.
We don't have to save everybody. We don't have to
So we
carry
don't
the
have
weight
to
of the
save
world.
nobody? Oh.
We're not obligated.
I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah, okay, we're talking about that.
Right.
Okay,
We're going to have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Not only are we not saving everybody, we're also allowing somebody else to save us.
Yes.
Ooh, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Accepting that.
But
help
are
and
they
saying we
going
need
to?
it.
Kind of already addressed that because if you talk to the Gen X, the soft era is more about self-care. That's their word for self-care. So y'all already address it. You just speak on it in your terms versus using their terms.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna keep working.
Yeah,
on
we're
that.
gonna keep working on that.
Maybe
one,
maybe
More
that's
intergenerational.
one terminology. Maybe that's one.
Yeah.
Who says?
Yeah, it may be.
You know, one of the things that I would like to see, because, and you just said intergenerational terminology, but I would like to see, like Phyllis would like to see a panel of older women. I would like to see us do a panel of younger women without us. You know, maybe there's a Makia or a Shelby that leaves the conversation.
Yeah.
But somebody that takes it over, because we're missing a group of women, those 20-something, those 30-somethings that, you know, they are finding their way and they need, you know, a space.
And redefining their way.
Yes.
Yeah, they're doing it differently, and we can learn from each other.
Yes.
That's the thing. And in what I do professionally with the coaching and everything, a lot of times I'm going into organizations, and I was realizing the vast age differences when I would go in to do a retreat or a coaching. And so I was doing some research, and this is like one of the only times in working history where we've had all of these generations working together. So we have the boomers working with the Gen X and the millennials and everybody. And so, yeah, we need to have those conversations and see how we can work together and learn from each other. So I'm on a time crunch. Y'all know how Shelby is. I'm seeing Shelby's fingers. So I don't want us to end without this last question, which is just not really a question, but I just want us to go down the line. We're going to start with you, Tracy. And just give 3 words of what Hey Sis means to you. And we're just going to go down the line.
Loving, accountability, and influence.
Ooh. Oh, you took one of my words. Oh, okay. Encouragement, empowering, and let's say diversity.
Black.
My black friend over here.
Community. And knowledge.
Like 2 of my words.
So that's my other black friend over there.
So the one that wasn't in there is health. I'm going to say connectivity, which I feel like goes along with community, and nurturing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nurturing.
Oh, friendship, inclusion, love.
I'm going to say vulnerability, safety, and non-judgment. Yeah, that's what Hey Sis means to me. So this has been amazing.
Can we go
Yes,
back one
we
more
can.
question? Okay, y'all know what else I want to see? I want to do another What's in Your Toolkit.
Okay.
That's what I want. I do. I want to do a What's
because
in...
you weren't there live
No, I
with us
wasn't.
that time.
But there's
Yeah.
some more stuff like in the toolkit that we gave out at the conference. There's some really cool stuff in the toolkit.
Yeah.
And I think we should be talking about it. So like,
Yes.
don't kill me and don't throw rocks at me, Shelby, or my Kia. But like toys.
Oh.
You know, toys. And how does that as your body changes, things that, you know, used to work for you doesn't necessarily work for you. And so how do you find that? What is that? I mean, those are real conversations.
Yep.
And we're going through, many of us are going through menopause or we're on the brink of starting it or whatever. And so those are very real conversations. So that's one of my things. Put it down.
No,
Okay,
that's a
I'm
good
done.
one. And the whole menopause thing. Yeah, I wake up every morning to a different person. I'm like, who am I today? It's like I have no idea who this body belongs to. In my head and what my body feels are 2 different things. Because I definitely knew I could jump up that step, but my body said, no, you can't.
No.
I don't know. It's a lot of things. But this has been great.
Yes.
I love each and every one of y'all to bits and pieces. Kelly, thank you for creating this place and sharing your platform. And when I say a sharer and a giver, it's like even today as we sat here, I'm like, Kelly, you want to do the welcome? Nope. Like she does not take ownership of this platform in any type of selfish way. She's like, I am the vessel and y'all do this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just looking forward to the year to come. So thank y'all for being here and thank everybody for watching. And hey sis.
Hey, sis.